Well, hello, Las Vegas. It is Monique Buchanan, the host of the Welcome Home with Monique show. And just want to say thank you again for tuning in this beautiful Saturday. I got a great show for you, like always. But first off, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful little girl, Malia. Happy birthday, baby. Today, we're celebrating her birthday. She's having a pool party at our new home. So all of her little friends and family are coming over today. So happy birthday, honey. And then I also have my other daughter, my oldest daughter, the firstborn. She's actually here on the show with me today with her college sweetheart that she brought out for my daughter's birthday that I get to meet. So Alex is a college sweetheart. Hi, Alex.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
And of course, my beautiful daughter, Sanaya. Thanks for coming on.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here as well.
And then I have Linder, Mr. Valentino. Are you there, Anthony?
I am. How are you, Monique?
I'm doing great. So, Tone, I decided let's bring on, the younger generation. Let's see what their concerns are when it comes to buying a property. What's on their mind? What's holding them back? What are they hearing, from the older generation? And I thought that me and you could kind of tackle some of those questions and concerns that they have, you know what I mean, in the market. Do you think that's a great idea?
It is. It kind of, we can have kind of like a informal, pub talk of what those questions, what those real questions are out there, so we can dismay the misconception and really give some facts to some of the biggest purchases in someone's financial career.
Yes, absolutely. So okay, Alex and Sanaya, what are some of the concerns? Like what's
we got a couple.
Yeah,
we got a couple.
Well, that's good because
adulting, all that is very new. So I'm excited to get some of these answered today.
Do you mind if I tell your guys' age?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Sanaya just turned 26. Alex, 27. He's whispering to me. So they're 26 and 27. So I know a lot of us out there that if we're not 26 and 27, we have kids that are, or grandkids. So we can share this information with our family. But what's one of your guys' concerns? What's on your mind?
So right now you're hearing a lot about interest rates going up right now. So is it a good time to buy right now, or should we wait till the interest rates drop? Or are they even going to drop?
Perfect. That's a great question. Anthony, is that not the number one question, not only on their mind, but probably on everybody's mind? What do you say to that, Anthony? What's your answer?
Yeah, I mean, if I was fed a cheesecake every time someone told me that question, I would probably not want to have any more cheesecakes for the rest of my life. I mean, that is a question that everyone asks of, should I wait or should I buy?
Right.
And, in order to have a good understanding of what's the best recourse, you have to know where we were and where we are and where we're going as far as the economy and as far as what is at stake and what is projected to come. And you always want to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else, so that way you get the best deal and you're not a part of the herd. And the only way to do that is to have sound advice, follow the math, and see where we were and where we are to understand where we're going. And we do know that in 2023, the feds raised the rates 9 times. And that was because all of the money printing that was being done during COVID. And so all of that money had to come from somewhere, which created insolvency or liquidity issues in the bank, which forced inflation to go up. And because inflation went up, the only way that the government could reciprocate that was to stop printing money and raise the rates. And everything is forward thinking in the economy for the U.S. The government looks at things 6, 12, 18, 24 months ahead of time so they can plan. They don't just fly off of the seat of their cushion. So in 2022, they saw the icing on the cake and they said, okay, we're going to raise the rates up to 10 times in 2023. It came into fruition. They did up to 9 times. And then in the end of 2023, they said, okay, let's look at 2024. And they said, you know what, we're not going to raise the rates at all as long as inflation gets close to 2%. Right now it's at 3 and some change. And so they have not raised the rates this year. In fact, the Fed Chair Powell said he is going to lower the rates 2 times, presumably starting in September. And then by the end of the year, we should see 2 rate decreases, and it could be as much as 0.5% each one. Now, He also advised what we should expect in 2025. The speculists are saying up to 6. The conservatives are saying up to 4. But we're going to have somewhere between 4 to 6 rate cuts in 2025. So that tells us over the next 18 months, we are going to see nothing but rate decreases.
Which
and
means
that's facts, and that's
facts.
that's
and then you know
sound.
what that equals, though. So just to sum this all up, that means that there's going to be a flood of buyers. And that's not good for you. So if you're listening to this thinking, oh, good, Anthony said the rates are about to drop, I'm excited. No, you shouldn't be excited unless you got a lot of money in the bank, because you're going to have to fight for the house that you want. You know, right now you're able to walk around and get what you want, you know, and actually get a home that you want right now. But if you wait like everybody else, you're going to be in a fight, just like in 2019. You're going to overpay for the property, and then instead of getting the house that you and your wife wanted, you're going to have to settle for whatever you can get. Am I right, Anthony? If you can get anything.
Yes. Yeah, you have to understand, in order to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else, you have to be proactive. And what do I mean by that is, when you think, oh, rates are going down, a reactiveness is, let me wait till those rates go down. Whereas a proactiveness is, well, wait a minute. Probably there's a lot of people thinking the same thing I'm thinking, and it's a supply and demand issue. And when everyone over the past 3 years jumps off the sidelines in an already low inventory, there's going to be 15 people wanting the same house. So I tell my clients, if you're looking to purchase within the next 5 years, the next 60 to 90 days are going to be the most economical for you, because you'll be able to get the house you want with less people in line. You're going to be able to get some, if not all, closing costs by the seller.
Yep.
And then you can date the rates and marry the house and refinance it in a year while everyone fights for a house that they want.
Right. So while you're sitting in your house and me as your realtor was able to get you $15,000, $30,000 out of the seller's pocket, you're looking at your friends that sat on the sideline. Now they're out there trying to get a house, and they're crying to you because now they've got $30,000 that they're going over list price, and they're still getting nowhere. It's already happened. So it's definitely going to happen as soon as these rates do drop. So that's why I say don't get excited, you guys. Don't follow the trend. Don't follow everybody else. You know what I mean? Go your own path. And like Anthony said, we can always just refinance the house. And we have ways to make that payment affordable. Anthony makes your payment affordable. There are programs out there that allow you to wait for those rates to drop and not pay the full mortgage, if that makes any sense, from day one. So there's ways to do it, and we know how to do that. And if you're just tuning in, this is Monique Buchanan. This is the Welcome Home with Monique show. I talk all things real estate, not just here in Las Vegas, but I can assist you in all 50 states and in 24 countries, and so can my lender, Mr. Valentino. Okay, that was a long answer, because that is like our number one question, right, Tone?
It is. It's a good question, and it's good to know. And, you know, knowledge is power. And, you know, the more you know and the more you understand and the more you're educated on what you're doing as far as home ownership, the more you're likely to jump off those sidelines and make that purchase, because you understand what you're doing. So anyone who's listening out here, if you're thinking of buying a house, start asking questions. So that way, the more you know and the more you understand.
Okay, well, it looks like we have another question. Miss Sanaya is over here just like ready to go. What's your question? What you got?
Yeah, so this would be my first time buying a home. And with that, I kind of want to know what types of government programs or maybe incentives are available for first-time home buyers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good
let me
one.
jump in. Even though that's Anthony, it's Anthony too. So we do have the down payment assistance programs, and me and Anthony have quite a few of our clients right now that are utilizing those. Anthony, you want to kind of give them the gist of it, but I will, before he starts and letting you guys know exactly how that works, let me just say this. You are considered a first-time home buyer if you have been renting your property or do not currently own. If you've been a renter for 3 years, you're a first-time home buyer. Anthony does not care that you were on your mama's deed, 7 years ago and now you guys sold, or even 5 years ago. You're still considered a first-time home buyer as long as you have been renting for the last 3 years, okay? A lot of people think that because they once upon a time owned, that they're not considered a first-time home buyer. Am I lying to them, Anthony? Because this is your thing. Am I lying?
You are a waterfall of facts. You are just, you are just a waterfall of facts. 100%. It's the big thing is just understanding that what you're getting into. There are definitely down payment assistance programs, whether it's on a state level or a federal level. But most down payment assistance programs come from a federal entity that get handed down to the state, and then the state disperses it, and then they take their cut. So there's a lot. There's down payment assistance home as possible. There's Nevada Rural. There's Wish. There's Chenoa Fund. There's a lot of different ones. And so really it's an understanding of what you're trying to do. There's some where you don't have to pay it back. There's some where you do pay it back. There's some where you only get a 2% grant. There's some where you get a 4% grant. The rates are dictated by the entity that gives it to you. So just know nothing's free. So if you get down payment assistance, know that you will see an inflated rate because they are giving that money to be able to be nothing out of pocket as far as the down. But that's where Monique and I come in to help understand what does that look like? What's my payment? What's my out of pocket? What are my options? And I usually show my clients, here's your option with first-time home buyer, minimum down 3%. Here's your option with 1%. Here's your option with no percent. And they can look at that and digest it and say, okay, what does that payment look like? What is that out of pocket? So when they start shopping, they are confident with the numbers and they don't fall in love with the house and then realize that they fell in love with something that they can't afford.
Yeah, I want to just give you kudos for that, Anthony, because that's one thing that you make sure to do. That we make sure to do, but really you make sure that they know what their payment is. You would be just, baffled at how many realtors are taking, and it's not their fault, how many realtors are taking people out and they've been approved, but they're looking at homes and they don't even know how much that payment is. You know what I mean? They just, you were approved, and they take them out shopping, but they're looking at properties that if their minimum or their max payment is $3,000, but the property that they're looking at is $4,000. They have no idea. So I thank you for always taking the time to make sure that all of our clients know exactly how much their payments will be on each house that they're looking at. And then I reiterate that. And then you also let them know, hey, this is what your out of pocket's going to look like. Monique's going to negotiate money out of the seller's pocket, which thank God I've been able to do. $15,000, $30,000 all day long, right, Anthony? We've been getting sellers to, cough up some money towards our buyers, cost. But that's not going to last forever, you guys. That window is shutting. All right, so you're looking at me, Alex. You got something else for us?
Yeah, that does bring me into my next question that I have. How much money do I need to have for a down payment on a house? How much do I need to have saved? What does that look like?
Okay, that's a good question. So if you use the down payment assistance programs, they will take care of your down payment, and some of them even take care of a portion of your closing costs. Okay, so that's kind of what he was just going over. But let me just say this. Let's say that you're looking at a house. Now, they're from Atlanta, you guys, because remember, I help you in any state. So they're from Atlanta. Out there in Atlanta, you can get a nice house for $350,000 all day long. Now, that down payment for you, if you do not utilize your 401k, because yes, you can pull the money out from your 401k, and in 90% of the cases will not be penalized as long as you let them know that you're going to buy a home with that money. Right? So if you don't have a 401k and you say, I want to utilize one of the down payment assistance programs that Monique and Anthony have, then you have no down payment. All you have to worry about is your closing costs. But if you have a realtor that I referred you out there in Georgia, she's going to go to the seller for your closing costs. So what does that really leave you to pay, Anthony? What left? If she gets the seller to pay the closing costs, you put him in one of the down payment assistance programs. Well, what are we looking at? And what are the requirements?
What I want them to understand is when they purchase a house, there's two buckets of closing costs. You have your closing costs that are the third-party fees, title, escrow, taxes, insurance, appraisal. That's all the closing costs. And then you have your down payment. And so you have those two buckets. Now, the down payment can come in the form of a gift, your savings, 401k, down payment assistance. That takes care of the down payment. The closing costs can come from you, can come from the agent, can come from the seller, and typically it comes from the seller if you're working with Monique or one of her constituents, to where your first bucket of closing costs, which typically on a $350,000 house, you're looking around $10,000. So if you don't get closing costs from the seller, or you don't bake it in to the loan and raise the price, that we see a lot, then you're looking at $10,000 for that bucket. And then if you're looking at, say, a $300,000 house, on a $300,000 house with 3% down, that's $9,000. So if you were to walk in and not get your closing costs covered and pay standard 3%, you're looking around $19,000 total. If you get the seller to cover the closing costs, you're looking at $9,000 total. If you get partial down payment assistance, you're looking at $4,500 total. If you get full down payment assistance, you're looking at a big fat goose egg, a $0.
We like the goose eggs.
Yeah, we love the good eggs. More of those.
So that's what's happening right now, you guys, and I guess that's why we're really pounding this into people's heads. Just so we don't want them to miss this opportunity, or their grandkids, or their kids, or you guys to miss this opportunity that this window is shutting. Okay, it has been years, at least in this market, since we were able to get the seller to contribute towards any buyer's closing costs or any money at all, because the Las Vegas market is just like the Atlanta market, which is very hot. Okay, people are pouring in buying properties. So this window is not going to be open forever. So we're saying right now you can, if you follow these steps and you come through, and you have somebody that can negotiate closing costs from the seller, plus Mr. Valentino puts you in a DPA is what we call it, zero down program, you can walk away with nothing or as little as $4,500 out of your pocket and have your home. Okay, because at the end of the day, here in Nevada, there is no rent cap. They can continue to go up and up and up on rent. Rent is 100% interest. Keep that in mind. You're making zero money. You're begging for your security deposit back at the end of that lease. Whereas if in a year, when you decide to move on to another property, you're going to scale up or you're going to walk with some money, not beg for $2,500 back. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do I say? I said, you can't have a Land Rover and have a landlord. That doesn't make any sense. Right, Anthony?
That's only 3 years into the house when you decide to leverage that equity and treat yourself.
Right. So, Anthony, I want to thank you, brother, for coming on. You're always dropping so much knowledge for my listeners, and I do appreciate that so much. You guys have any other questions?
Okay, so yeah, I do have one other question for you, Miss Buchanan.
Yes,
I know
yes,
everyone
Alex.
calls you Monique, but I'm gonna call you Miss Buchanan.
No worries. That's fine. Respectful. You guys know I want to keep him right. I'm trying
Nice Southern boy.
That's right.
Gotta get
Raised
those
up
points.
right. Had a big mama. Okay, go ahead.
So on the news, I'm hearing about this NAR settlement, like this new NAR settlement where, the buyers are having to pay the
Yeah.
realtors now. Like what's going on with that?
That's actually the hottest topic going on right now. I'm so glad you thought to ask that, actually. So, let's go ahead and let everybody know. If you haven't seen the news like Alex has, that's absolutely right. The law has changed. The rules have changed for realtors, okay? Before, you could jump on Zillow and just go be a looky-loo and just call up any old realtor, and a lot of them would just run out and open a door and show you a house. Well, that is now no longer allowed. They have to have you sign something called a buyer's brokerage contract. So every single realtor now must have you sign a contract stating that you will compensate them if you close on a house with them. Okay, so now that's the new rule. It has changed. Now here's the good news. Sellers are still willing to compensate many of the agents. So in many cases, although you're signing that, a lot of times the sellers are still compensating. So in many cases, you won't have to compensate because sellers are not crazy. They understand, nobody works for free. And if they do shut that down, that's going to put more money out of the buyer's pocket, which will make a buyer pass their house up. And that's less people coming to look at their home. So sellers understand that, hey, I need to continue on compensating. Now, if you do get a seller that, for whatever reason, says, no, I'm not going to compensate, I'm willing for less people to look at my property, then that is when you'll have a conversation with your realtor. But in many cases, like for me and myself, I'm negotiating that cost from the seller. I was already getting closing costs for my buyers anyway. So now, if you do, in the rare chance, come across a seller that's not willing to compensate, we'll work it out. You know what I mean? But just know, going forward, no more looky-loo. Yeah. You're going to have to, no more Sunday on board, let's go look at houses. Right. Because now you do have to. Every realtor is required to have that contract signed before they can show you even one house. There is a huge fine that a realtor could face if they do not have what we call a BBA, buyer's brokerage agreement, signed prior to looking at and opening any door. So that was a great question, Alex. And that's something that's been all over the news, not only here in Nevada, but all over the country, because it went into effect actually August 17th. So it just went into effect. Okay. All right. So I'm glad you asked that. But let's go ahead to the fun part of my show. Now, let me doubt and dote. What is the word? Doubt? What am I looking at? Dote? Is it dote?
I don't know.
You're like when you just love your baby and you just dote on her. I think that's it.
I need to add that one to my vocabulary.
Well, check it out first, make sure I'm right. But yes, my baby girl, Sanaya Simpson. I'm just so proud of her, you guys. She's just done so many great things already in her little life of 26 years, you know, so many accomplishments. But the most, the reason that I'm mostly proud is her heart. Even in school, even before, she got into college, she was just such a loving person. She would walk up to homeless people, ask them how she could help them, give them hugs, and just be completely genuine. And I was like, wow, my baby's always had a heart for people, and I just love that about you. So with that being said, I want to let everyone know that she's now the founder of the Vibrary. And before I mess it up, can you expand on what the Vibrary is? It's really hot right now, too. A lot of people have been reaching out all over the country asking you to come to their state and host a Vibrary event. I love the name, by the way, the Vibrary. So yeah, what exactly is a Vibrary, Sanaya?
Well, thank you so much, Mom, for that beautiful intro. So the Vibrary, I created the Vibrary after traveling 6 months all around the country. Mm-hmm. I was a nonprofit canvasser, and I spoke to hundreds of strangers every single day. And I found that the common issue that people were having, especially as adults, where a lot of people felt like it was very difficult to create friendships as an adult. Mm-hmm. And people felt lonely. They were really yearning for more of a deeper connection with people that wasn't so shallow, so surface level. And so when I moved to Atlanta, I had started throwing events with my company, The Vibrary, and it's all around bringing together community through deeper connection and reflection that cultivate genuine friendships with strangers. Because something I like to say is, everybody is a stranger before they're a friend.
Right.
And when you go to networking events, it's not really that organized. So when you come to a Vibrary event, what you can expect is to be a structured, safe, supportive space for you to cultivate more genuine communication with people. And these conversations are led and navigated by me. So we speak about mental health, we speak about navigating life, and at the basis of it, as human beings, we are all going through the same emotions. We all know what heartbreak feels like. We all know what anxiety, depression, happiness. We all know what these things feel like. We just have different situations that have been placed in our life to experience these emotions.
Right.
So when you have conversations with strangers and you're able to take down, these barriers, you're able to realize that we're a lot more similar than we are different.
Right.
And people really leave my events feeling just really poured into. And it's a different type of feeling when you're able to connect with somebody that you don't know and pour life into them.
Right.
And so it's been really beautiful. We've been throwing events every single month, and I'm really excited to keep continuing on this journey because it's very, very fulfilling.
Yes, and I got to witness, although I wasn't in Atlanta for one of your events, I got to witness all the, just the people standing up online on your IG and just saying how it really affected their lives, going to that event, being able to share some of their deepest and darkest, moments in their life with complete strangers. And, to get that off of your chest and to just let it out, that's healing. That's very healing. So I was very proud that you had, come up with such a great thing for people. Now, one thing was you have a lot of men there that actually share.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty awesome because most men don't share.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just been my experience. They hold a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, who comes to your event?
For sure. We have a very diverse group of people that come, men, women, different age groups. We've had like 50 nationalities. It's really open and encouraged for everybody to come because at the end of the day, like we're all doing this life thing for the first time, right? And so no matter how,
time.
the only maybe community that you were used to getting, when you went to school, when you go to work and things like that, but there needs to be more safe spaces within the community to cultivate more culture and to be able to break down barriers, so people can learn and listen to somebody that looks completely different from you that maybe you wouldn't have the courage to speak to or come up to in a basic setting. But you come to one of our events and it's structured. You have questions. We break out into small groups. We get into deeper layers of life, and we allow people to be vulnerable and to be heard and to be seen in a way that feels safe, that is comfortable. And when you do that, you're able to cultivate a different type of connection with others.
Yeah.
And then after you cultivate that connection, you talk about who you are. Then maybe we could talk about, okay, what do you do? How we can collaborate? How we can network? And I just hate that, what do you do as a first question to people, because we're so much more than how we pay our bills.
Right.
And I think that we can just we could really mend society in so many beautiful ways once we realize that we are all so similar.
Yes.
And especially in a climate right now that is very divisive, we need community more than anything.
Absolutely. That was very well said. And you're absolutely right. And I love the part where you said, we kind of click up, all of us, we kind of just click up with, our known tribe.
Yeah.
But that's why I love to travel. I always tell my friends, travel, go to other countries, see how other cultures live, get out there, get with them, see what they're talking about, If you don't, then, it's like it opens your mind when you go to other countries. But this is like you're doing that, but right here at home,
Yeah, right here at home,
Yeah, you're like, come on in, sit down with somebody maybe you wouldn't have sat with.
Yeah.
Have a conversation.
Right.
Yeah, so I just love that you're doing that. So, Alex, you were at one of the events. As a man, what was your take on the event from a man's perspective on the Vibrary?
Oh man, it's such a good feeling to have, to see other men come and see them take off their masks.
Yeah.
Because as men, we do hold in a lot naturally.
Right.
And we do go through things and we don't really talk about them.
Because you're raised not to.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's a challenge to find a space to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To be comfortable and feel vulnerable. So just to have other men to talk to about some problems or some challenges that you may be going through, it makes you just feel so much closer to just, other people dang, he's going through the same thing I'm going through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's advising me and I'm advising him on stuff that I've been through that he hasn't been through and vice versa. So it's just such a safe space, and it's so fulfilling to be in that community and feel that comfortability. I can really take my mask off. I can really talk about things that I'm going through,
Right.
and I can really relate to someone else. You know what I'm saying? So it's fun. It's fun
That's
to
cool.
see this all come together, because I've seen it just start with just an idea, and she's
And
brought
grow.
this beautiful just idea to life.
That's awesome.
And just to see how it affects people, to see people share their testimonies about it, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
It's amazing.
And I'm glad that you're just, sharing that with us because, like you said, men hold it all in. I know that you guys even had an NFL player open up about what he was going through. To have, a man open up like that in front of all these strangers and feel good about it, and then everybody's smiling and having a good time afterwards.
Right.
That is something that I feel like God had his hand on, okay?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I just want to thank you guys for coming on and helping me understand, what the young folks, are thinking when it comes to buying a home, what concerns them, but also sharing the Vibrary. Now that right there, that's going to help millions. I already see that going all across the country and all across the world because it's so needed. And like you said, especially right now, if somebody wants to check out the Vibrary, how can they get a hold of you?
Yes, if you would like to keep in touch with what we got going on, our Instagram, it is the Vibrary ATL, and it is TheViberary ATL, the Vibrary ATL on Instagram. And before we end, I know we're running out of time, I just want to give my mom some flowers real quick. My mom raised me as a single mother growing up, and she's always been a hustler. She's always been somebody that has had the biggest heart, and she's just been such a inspirational woman to look up to, and she has cultivated me into the woman that I am today. And I'm just so happy and so proud of her for killing it in real estate, and I couldn't be more proud to have Miss Buchanan right here.
You got them
as
thinking
my
this
mama.
is scripted now. You done jumped in. I
It's
didn't know
not
you was gonna do
scripted.
that.
It's not scripted at all. I got to give my mom her flowers, so I just want to end on that.
I appreciate it. I'm so proud of my baby girl. She's amazing. And anyway, so if you heard anything that interests you on the show, let me go ahead and shout you out. My number, 702-984-3700. It's going to be repeated again at the end of the show. WelcomeHomeWithMonique.com is my website. And until I hear from you guys again, thank you, Sanaya. I love you.
Love you too.
And Alex, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's it. Thanks.